So, welcome to the second session of the pirate campaign, which we'll have to come up with a name for at some point or another. When we last left you, you were down at the docks, loading a whole bunch of terrified civilians onto ships, trying to organize some order in the chaos, and basically doing your first day on the job, apparently. Your meeting and your day was an interesting and eventful one. You went to the Clockwork Phoenix to go get employed. There you met a colourful old barkeep and former captain by the name of Amadeus Turnpike, who pointed you towards a captain who was actually looking for some new crew to sign on. Some of you approached to get work. You started a bar fight, you started a dance, you drank the place out of all the booze it had in existence. Some of you, well, all of you except for one, witnessed a murder. And had a fairly decent look at the assassin. And as the night was getting on and the party starting to wind down a bit, the town came under attack. You all made your way down to the docks on the recommendation of Amadeus, who said that no one attacks from the same direction at the same time, so the docks would likely be a target. And you met up with the crew and your captain, at which point one of you recognized someone who was trying to board the ship and killed their companion rather violently. I think we worked out it was a rather long drop off the edge of the docks at the same time. With the sound of battle approaching, you've split up. You've had Tarin make it to the top of the walls to keep watch. Bhajiri and Mug have gone to set up an ambush near the gates that look a little bit too frail to shut. And you've got Edric slowly making his way back. For the moment, since Tarin isn't actually with us and is on her way home, she will be keeping watch from up on the walls. And also Merrisea will start aboard the ship, helping to get people to below decks or into any bit of space that they can actually cram them on, as they're kind of trying to overload the ship as much as possible without having someone fall off the other side. And Bingo Boom Boom, who unfortunately can't be with us tonight, is going to be, in Bingo's own words, following the crazy lady around. And that...
Quick interjection here. We have a Merrisea, but we're going to have to read her messages, I think, for now.
That's all good. Sorry, I couldn't actually see the chat underneath the recording.
Will we be reading her messages in her voice?
You can certainly try. I am not good at voices, so I'm not going to try.
I don't want to offend anyone, so I'm not going to.
She requests that, yes, you should try. She will not be offended.
Alrighty.
Oh shit, she thinks we should take it in turns.
I like that idea.
Alrighty. So you have, since Tarin shouted a warning from on top of the walls, and you can slowly and steadily hear the increasing sounds of battle. And by the way, the panicked refugees are now rushing through the gate as well, or the last of them, as they're seeming to run short on numbers, either because they're being cut off or they're not able to make it through. It seems very likely that sooner or later you're going to start seeing the first of your enemies trying to come through the gate.
And with that, we have a Tarin.
Hi.
Awesome. That actually makes things a little bit easier. That's all right. So based on the fact that you've actually turned up, I will start with... No, it's all good. It just makes me change the order of things.
Oh, right, okay.
So, Tarin, since you're standing up on the wall,
Yes.
you can actually see the fighting that's been going on outside, and you can see that the local militia is getting its ass kicked.
Right.
The attackers are steadily making their way towards the gate. From what you can see, at the very least, the advanced party's probably about 15, maybe 20 enemies.
Right, okay.
What I'll do is I'll actually get you to roll a perception check while you're at it.
Yes, sure.
Seeing as well if you've got that, so you get your bonus.
Yeah. So, where's my sheet? Hang on.
Whose turn is it to read the Abristi messages? Or not Abristi, the Merrisea messages? Okay, the Vicky messages then. I'd like to see the Beholdic try the Vicky voice, so not the Merrisea voice.
I will also accept nibbles.
Yes.
I reckon I can do nibbles.
Go at it.
Oh, maybe. Okay. I just need to get into the mentality of a gnome. This might ruin the night for everyone. I might just end up like just throwing things at people.
Just quickly, how much do I add for the seeing perception?
+2.
+2, thank you.
All good. Right. Now I need to pull out my calculator.
That's 17.
Thank you. You beat me to it. Right, you definitely see 17 enemies attacking.
Oh.
You summon them, which you're looking at them.
Yeah. Oh, I figure it's a nice number. In between the two that I'd already given. On top of that, at least 4 of them are heavily armored. The rest of them, though, are a lot lighter armored. Some of them are carrying chains. Most of them are armed with melee weapons, although there's a mixture of bows and crossbows and the occasional black powder weapon.
Ooh, okay.
But they don't seem to be using their ranged weapons unless they absolutely have to. They seem to be trying to corral the citizens that they catch and round them up. Anyone that's actually putting up resistance, though, they are fighting.
Right. Okay. Who's the best person to tell?
Also, from what you can tell, they are all human.
They're all human?
Yep.
Okay.
Correct me if I'm wrong in anything I write down, Glenn. Just like so that I can easily check back.
Yep. That's all good.
Can I just have a quick update, sorry, on who's where at this point?
I can actually do that. And in fact, I can actually do one better.
Oh.
Where is... I went to the PC characters. I need to go to here. And... Discord, be nice. Do that. Upload.
Map.
I do apologize for the terrible paint skills.
No, you can see, I can see it.
So, that is a picture of the docks. If you actually look at the original map, it is actually roughly the design that is on the Freeport map as well. The ship that is your captain's, the Argonaut, is the brown one dead center. There are two other vessels slightly smaller than the Argonaut tied up as well, and they are also loading up refugees. The red block is the gatehouse. The two little black lines are the gates that are actually open.
Yeah.
The outer grey wall is actually a raised wall with square towers on the edges and the corners, also stretching out into basically anything white to the left of the docks is thin air.
Right. Okay.
Or more to the point, a long drop. To the left, opposite the red brick gatehouse, is basically buildings from the main street. There's like shops, houses. That black line is the opposite side of the road that goes southwards back down towards the Clockwork Phoenix, and northwards up to the junction and the main port from which the attackers are coming.
Right.
The little black ladder stairwell thing is actually the stairs that you took to get up onto the wall.
Fantastic. Okay.
So.
And who's by the gate? Did you say? Sorry.
So behind the top.
I'm sure somebody went to the gate.
Yep, Bhajiri and Mug both are standing right next to the top of the gate. So the door closest to yourself.
Okay.
Ready to end.
Yep.
Fantastic.
Edric is roughly alongside the line of people that are still waiting to get boarded onto the vessel. You can see them as the little dots. Merrisea is currently aboard the vessel, along with Bingo, as they're trying to cram people into every crevice to make sure that they can get as many people on as possible.
Right. If I shout down to Bhajiri and Monk, will they hear me?
From the top of the wall, easily.
Yeah. Okay, cool. In which case, first of all, I let them know what I can see. Best to be, like, everyone knows what's going on. Ooh, not sure what to do next.
From what you can see, the closest of them is about 100 meters down the road.
Right. Okay.
And I'm now going up to the weapons table just to double check some stuff.
Okay. In which case, after I've shouted to Mug and Bhajiri, I'm going to leg it back to the ship and try and get some more people to come and help ambush at the gate.
Rightio. So you leg it up to the line where the rest of the crew is basically trying to quickly get people on board. They're going along the line, and if anyone's holding a ridiculous amount of their personal belongings, they're culling as much of it as possible. They'd rather take a person on board rather than their luggage.
Yeah.
Some of them look up as you approach. Amongst them, you see the dwarf who was amongst the officers that was recruiting with the captain. He's got a rifle almost as tall as he is over his shoulder, and he is barking orders at the other sailors, trying to get them to go along the line as quickly as possible and help get people on board. But he does glance your way as soon as you approach.
Cool. Excuse me, sir. We're really stuck. We need some more people at the gates.
He looks over and goes, "What have we got? More civilians coming through? We're almost loaded up here. We're not going to be able to take too much more."
I'm more worried about people approaching. They're not initially hurting people, but they look like they're trying to capture them. There's quite a lot, 17 from what I can remember. Most of them have melee weapons, and a few have ranged weapons, but yeah, they look pretty bad.
His eyes sort of widen slightly at the sound of your description, and he grabs the nearest of the sailors to him and thumps him on the back and shoves him towards the ship, and basically shouts up to the ship, "Crack out the rifles, crack out the swords, we got to fight on our hands." And then he turns to the sailor he's just shoved. He goes, "Gather them up, get them to the gate, now." And then he turns back to you. "Lead on, I need to see with my own eyes."
In which case, I lead him back to the stairwell.
Yeah.
Can I tag along to the stairwell so that I'm on the wall as well?
Yep. The dwarf gives you an appreciative nod as you tag along, having already seen what you can do. So as you make it up back onto the wall, he sort of gets up on tippy toes so he can see over the battlements a bit. And does a quick count himself and sizes them up. And he looks at the two of you and goes, "We'll try and hold them here as long as we can, but our priority is to get as many people on that ship and then get the heck out of here." If anyone in the militia is here as well, it'll be worthwhile trying to get them to guard this gate as well. It's their job after all.
In which case, I run back to those trying to board the ship and try and search for any militia who could maybe help.
I will get you to do another perception check.
Okay. Not great.
Edric, the dwarf, also looks at you and goes, "If you're as good with that rifle as it looked like you were, lad, snipe as many of them from up on the walls here as you can until we can't hold the gate any longer."
Ooh, 3 kills. Of course, I'll be ready.
Good job, lad. The less of them that get through that gate, the less of them we have to fight on our way back to the ship. And then he sort of lumbers on off to a different position. You see him like grab a barrel and push it up against the wall and then climb up on top so he's got a nice sniper position to stand on.
I got 13 for my perception, by the way.
Radio. You find in the queue, you do find two rather young-looking men. One of them's trying to hide that he's wearing the gear of a militiaman. The other one looks like he's trying to get a lady friend or a wife or maybe a loved one onto the ship. He's doing his best to make sure that she gets as far up the line as possible. The two of them sort of look at you, and the one with the lady friend sort of glances at her and sort of nods to you and then whispers something in her ear and then takes his weapons and heads on over to help guard the gate. The younger one looks like he's just not going to go.
Right. In which case, I grab his arm and just start pulling with all my weight, which is not very much.
Radio. He's going to shout in surprise and basically turn around and go, "Oi, get off!"
In which case, I'm going to make a huge scene and start crying. And be like, "Why won't you save us?" In a very squealy voice. So everybody can hear and turn around and look and stare.
Do a charisma persuasion check.
Right, okay. What would that come under? Sorry.
Communication, sorry.
Communication, thank you.
Sorry, I had D&D in my head there for a second.
Double. Hang on a minute.
Oh god, there are some awesome ones for communication. Go to town.
Okay.
Where's my different coloured dice?
Okay. So that's my thing. Hang on a minute. What page is the stunt stuff
Ooh,
on?
out. I will grab the stunt table again. Unless
It's pinned.
Oh, yep.
Oh, I've printed out the
Oh, no,
pages.
Stunts then are on... exploration and role-playing stunts are on page 77 onwards.
Thank you. Can I go with stun silence for one?
Yep. How much did you get overall?
Oh, sorry.
Oh shit, was that the 6641?
Yeah.
17 again.
Thank you.
With
All good.
6 stunt points, I believe.
Oh, awesome.
Oh, so stun silence. Sway the crowd. And let's go with Bon Mot as well, just for the hell of it.
Well done. So basically what happens is you've just grabbed and dragged him out of the line in such a way that he is now visible to everyone in the line and those that are on the ship, who can clearly now see his uniform. And you have just started the biggest scene about how he is a major coward, that he's abandoning everyone to their fates just so that he can get out of here. The woman who had her own lover leave to help join the fight joins in and starts heckling him. It doesn't take very long before the entire crowd is just going to town on the lad. Out of sheer shame, he actually turns and joins the rest of you and heads on over without saying a word.
Brilliant.
Damn.
After which I abruptly stop making a scene and just walk away and to follow and go towards the fight.
Rightio. So you've returned and you've got 2 militiamen with you.
Mm-hmm.
The older one has his rifle with him. The younger one seems to have at least dropped his main weapon when he fled to come and try and get out of here. But he still has at least his melee sword and seems capable enough with it.
Fantastic.
Is he wearing a red shirt?
Very specific.
Those kinds of questions always terrify me a bit.
Based on that roll, yes, he is.
By the way, people, I can hear again.
Awesome.
Hello.
You can hear again. Welcome back.
Yeah.
Did you have enough updates, or?
I think so. So they're making a scene
Yeah.
that the militia should help us, or I guess.
Yeah, there were 2 people from the militia standing in line, and one of them easily was convinced to join. The other one needed to be shamed in front of his whole hometown.
Nice.
But that worked, and now he's also somewhat willingly heading towards the fight.
And based on the entire scene that was there, you see 3 people hop off one of the other ships and come and join you.
Yeah.
Are we
Damn.
fighting yet?
Almost.
Almost. Based on that, as those 3 approach, you hear a loud, thunderous crack, and the dwarven officer who helped recruit you fires over the edge of the wall, and you hear a scream.
Oh, I can't stand that. I want to shoot next.
And with that, I'll ask you all to roll initiative.
How do we do?
Ooh. Yeah, how do we do that?
So, rolling initiative. You roll your 3d6, and off the top of my head, you add your dexterity.
Yep.
What happens if we get stunt points?
For initiative, it doesn't count, unfortunately.
Oh, I got 6. I got 6.
I got 5 of them.
However, I will say, because Tarin did actually get stunts last episode, and I took notes of it, Tarin gets +3 on initiative.
Oh yes, I do. I have that written down. Yay! Okay, which +3 to my what I've just put down, so that is 13.
Alright, here, so Tarin's got 13.
And sorry, what adds to it? Sorry, I'm
Just dexterity.
dexterity.
So then...
Oh, what's my dexterity?
I looked at the wrong number. It's not actually 11.
That's right, I will write
So,
Edric's down. 17.
Okay.
And then I'm...
that's still not quite right. It doesn't make 10.
Oh my god, I'm so stupid.
6 plus 6
I-
plus 3 plus 1
I
is
will
literally
give
16.
Bhajiri 16. Because I'm feeling generous.
I'm basically doing a maths degree. This is not good.
Mug
You
has
edited it too
13.
quickly. I wanted to screenshot that and post it to like
Right,
Facebook.
yo. And...
Wait, I have a question. So what happens if you have... So something happens if you roll 2 numbers at the same, right?
if you're rolling to attack or if you're rolling a test,
Oh.
yep.
Okay, so not now. It's just...
Unfortunately, not with initiative.
That's a shame.
Who am I missing? I'm missing a Wisp, and Merrisea's on the ship for now, at least. Watching you.
About Merrisea.
Yep.
She did mention I may be gone for a while. I'm very happy for Glyn to play Merrisea for a while. She would try her best to help out, if not a bit clumsily. Spell stuff, anything that seems useful and rather dashingly exciting.
Noted.
I have no idea where I am or what I'm doing, so...
Well, so far you will have been trying to help the sailors get the fleeing civilians onto the ship. You will have obviously heard Tarin's version of events of what's going on outside the walls multiple times, and also seen the spectacular display that shamed not just one, but a further 3 militiamen that were hiding in the crowd
I'm quite proud
to
of that
come and
too,
join.
I have to say.
That is one successful feat of like convincing.
Let's just say that the 3 that are approaching from the other ships didn't want to be found out after that scene.
They were terrified Tarin would see them.
Rightio, so I am going
Oh
to
shit. Why am I doing this to myself?
add into that. So you have...
Oh wow, that looks stunning. Can I buy 10 of them?
And then you have, and I'm going to put him at... Well, shit, he goes quickly. Then...
Let it be known that I'm horribly embarrassed by my maths. And, I feel like I need to take one of those photos where, you know, like, people shame their pets. Although it's me just being like, I can't do basic maths.
Wait, what was the original one before it was 16?
Well, it was 11, but then I was like, oh no, of course that's wrong. I put the wrong dexterity in, so then I put it to 10.
Wow.
See, it's really difficult to math.
Yeah.
I think you just missed the first 6, right?
I did, but I know that I didn't in my head. Like, I acknowledged that I saw like 6, 6, 3, and 1, and I was just like,
Right.
oh, so that's a 9 and a 1 is a 10.
Okay. Whisper, are you joined in the fight, or are you going to just watch at the moment?
And then, so the thing, what was it? Dexterity?
Yep.
Whatever it was.
So it is roll 3 of your d6 and then add your dexterity. And that will just allow me to do a turn order. Which is looking like that so far.
Also, they're cheap, those dice. Sorry, I'm looking at dice.
Also,
People
can...
oh, sorry.
That's right. I'm just going to say, Tarin and Mug, can I get you to just roll a d6 and let me know the result?
Sure. 4 for Tarin.
And for Mug... Do we have a Mug?
Oh, yeah, sorry.
That's
Yeah.
right. Sorry, can I get you to roll a d6 and just tell me the result?
A d6.
Yep.
Oh, are we tying?
Yeah, you're tied with Tarin, so I'm just doing it the easy way to work out who's going the first out of the two of you.
Oh, okay. 6.
All right, fighter goes first. That makes things easy.
That makes yeah.
Sorry, I don't respond to Mug yet, I think. I just zoned out.
Oh, good.
Right.
Did
Then.
we have Lauren's initiative yet?
Yep,
Yeah,
15. Oh,
Just that.
let's
well done.
not do that there. Let's pop that there and make that affect turn order. So that then becomes.
Oh, this might...
Radio. That's turn order for now. First up on the roster then, we got Edric.
Well, I'm basically going to do exactly what I just announced.
So you're currently up on the wall. You just watched the dwarf aim at one of the light troops that had been getting out in front of the heavies to rush the gate and kneecap him. And that guy is not running anymore.
I'm going to take inspiration from that, and I'm going to aim for kneecap as well.
Go for it.
Like, that's an effective idea.
Yeah. Also, remember, you can do an aimed shot if you want, because you've got a action plus a bonus action.
I'm going to take an aimed shot then. Just because that seems like it's a good idea.
Right,
Yeah,
yep.
I'm gonna. Wait, what's the? Yeah, I'm gonna go for the aimed shot so that it like gets a +1 to the attack roll,
Yep.
and then I'm gonna have some fun.
Sounds good.
Mm-hmm.
I use my perception to aim, and then +1 from having aimed.
Yep.
So it's not that high, but it is 6 stunt points.
So
16 total.
this guy, after the first shot, is dodging around, trying to make himself a harder target, but you just still manage to hit him.
Okay, nice.
Go for stunt points and your damage.
Well, I'm definitely going to spend one on a... Oh, wait. First damage, I guess?
Actually, there are two sets of enemies out there. Are you going for the heavily armored ones or the lighter
No,
armored ones?
Lighter armored one, and preferably one as close to the gate as possible.
Yep, they're out in front at the moment, so you've got your choice of them right now.
The closest one to the gate,
Yep.
because taking that one out gives us a little bit more time. So that's 2d6 damage plus my... Oh wait, my attack roll should have been higher. Sorry, that 2 that I added should be 4.
That's right.
So
I'm
that
also
would
just
be
double
18.
checking the range of your attack.
It's arquebus, so that's 12 or 24 meters.
Right, so it'll be long range.
What did that do to my attack roll?
I'm just double checking that actually. Do miss weapons. It actually gives you a -2 penalty. So.
Oh, in that case, I'm going to do -2, and I'm back to 16.
Yep.
Which just hit, you said, right?
Yep. So that was at 24 meters, was it not?
Nice.
Arquebus 24 meters from the gate. Noted.
And that means my damage is 9 plus 3 plus perception. 9 plus 5 is 14 total.
14 total?
That doesn't change from the stunts, because what I'm going to do...
Yep.
I'm going to do rapid reload.
Yep.
Lightning attack.
Yep.
Another rapid reload after that.
Go for it.
And I'm going to use the skirmish on the last shot, on the second shot as well.
Can do. So you did what, 12 damage to...
Yeah, 14 damage.
Sorry, 14 damage. Just making a note.
And then I get one more attack, and I spend 2 bullets on it.
Yep.
Which is, the second attack is, that doesn't get stunt points. It wouldn't get anyway. So that's 15.
That brings you up to... Oh, hang on. Do that. That was 15, so that's that. Right, so your first shot hits him right in the kneecap as you were hoping, and he spins around on the spot, which means that your second shot punches clean through the back of his neck, and you just watch him drop to the ground.
That's Edric in character, by the way. that slight chuckle. And with that, I'm gonna end my turn, I guess.
Yep. The gunner shouts out at the top of his lungs, 15.
Is he taking count?
Yep. Of how many are left?
Oh, how many are left? I was like, shit, did he kill 15 already?
No.
How am I gonna change that?
He's not pulling a Gimli.
Okay, good. Do I still have to roll damage on the second attack, by the way? I just realized I forgot to do that.
Oh, sorry, I took that roll that you did as the damage. Yeah, roll the damage.
That was the 2 hit.
Yeah, that hit. Roll the damage.
13.
Yeah, no, this guy's dead.
Okay, oh good. I just wanted to be fair about it.
That's all good. That brings us up to number 2 on the order, which is Bhajiri.
Right, so question about the gate.
Yep.
So you say it's a gatehouse, right?
Yeah, so it's a gatehouse. It's got like a small little tower on the top.
Okay.
Which is where Tarin was standing when seeing the approach of the enemy. It's probably only about 3 meters from one side to the other.
Okay.
So
would it be feasible to make a pile of corpses to block it?
very feasible. It is literally wide enough for a single cart to get in and out of. This is the south port. It's not the main port, so it's not as wide open and with bigger thoroughfares. It's not where most of the cargo comes through.
Okay. Okay, so Bhajiri's in his ambush position right now, isn't he?
Yep. So waiting behind the gate, you can actually hear the footsteps, or basically them bolting towards the gates. But you think you got a little bit of time before they go there.
Okay. Am I able to ready actions?
I don't think there's anything actually against the rules for it. So yeah, you can hold an action. Actually, no, you can. You can hold an action until a event occurs, effectively.
Okay. Well, when someone, do I stay in the ambush or not? Yeah, staying in the ambush.
Yep.
But as soon as somebody is within 4 meters of me,
Yep.
because of my pole weapon style thingamabob,
Yep.
I am going to attack the first enemy that comes within 4 meters down that little tubicle.
Yep. Noted. Right, so you basically ready yourself to attack the first person that makes it through. That then brings us up to number 3 on the list, which is Whisper.
Wisp.
Yep.
It's Whisper. Would I be able to find somewhere up high so I can use my crossbow?
Yep. So you can make your way up to the top of the wall where Edric and the dwarven rifleman is. It won't take you very long at all to get up there. So you can move up there and shoot your crossbow at the nearest target. Although you won't be able to spend any time to aim, you will literally just fire at the first one.
Say that again, sorry?
Due to the time it will take you to run up there, you would be able to shoot, but you wouldn't be able to aim the shot.
The shot?
Yeah, so you'd spend your minor action to get up there.
Oops. Shouldn't use crossbow.
So aim only adds +1 at the moment, so it's not too great a loss not to have it.
I'm lost.
That's all right. I will go through it. Your crossbow is from memory an accuracy weapon. That is short range at 30 yards, so you don't take a penalty to hit any of these people. You roll 3d6, you add your accuracy to hit, and that, in theory, if it beats their defense, you then roll damage. And I will describe how it all happens. So just let me know the result of your attack if you want to make an attack. Otherwise, you can ready yourself to prepare an attack on your next turn if you like.
9. So the attack would be 9. Do I roll damage or do I have to find out?
So that was 9 total.
Wait, hold on. 3d plus accuracy plus 1. No, that's not right. Make that 10.
10. Let me just double check what I had for the light troops. Right, you rush up to the wall and take a snapshot with the crossbow and watch the bolt just sail over the shoulder of the first of the light troops that's approaching, so you've just missed him. You was moving too fast and you hadn't managed to steady yourself against the wall yet when you took the shot.
Okay.
That brings next on the list to keep things flowing. Number 4. Right. The Dwarven Rifleman has basically lined up a whole bunch of tiny little pouches on the wall in front of him, and you just watch him grab one, rip it with his teeth, pour the shot powder down his rifle, and load rapidly as he then takes his next shot at the approaching enemies. And he also misses. Just by a whisker. And for those of you that understand Dwarvish, you just hear him drop a rather foul expletive.
Okay.
Next up, we go to all the light infantry, who are full charging. They can't see anyone, but they know they're under fire, and they think they're going to be safest if they rush through the gates and into close quarters combat. So they run at full speed, hoping to see an opponent, which brings us back to Bhajiri, as the first of them comes running around the corner. You see that moment of surprise that there was someone actually on the other side of the gate as he swings around it.
Okie dokie. So, I'm adding fighting to this, right?
Yep. I'll just double check.
Oh, you beauty.
Yep.
And because I'm using a spear, because I've got focus in it, I get a +2, right?
Yep.
Very nice. So, can someone do the maths for me so I don't embarrass myself?
3.
Right, you definitely hit him. Roll your damage.
Okie dokie. So... More than one. That is... and it's plus my strength for this,
Yep.
right? Okay, so that is... a number. And also, because of my two-handed style...
Yep.
Because I've got pole weapon style and two-handed style, if I'm using a two-handed weapon, which my spear is, when an enemy is hit with a melee attack, I can move them up to 2 meters.
Yep.
So I'm punting that cunt backwards.
Rightio.
I apologise for my foul language.
So this lightly armored, robed fighter comes flying around the corner just in time to receive the flat end of your spear smack across his face. You hear teeth break and blood go spurting from his mouth, and you shove him backwards towards his mates. The rest of them sort of stagger to a stop in shock, realizing that the enemy is a lot closer than they originally thought they would be.
Bhajiri is then going to very smugly just make it like the typical like sort of laugh and flip the bird.
Noted. That brings us down to... and I'll just make sure I've recorded that damage while I'm in it. So that was 11. There we go. Next up, we have Mug.
Woohoo! Okay, so are there enemies?
You have just watched Bhajiri, who you were standing near, smash a light infantryman in the face and flip him the bird.
Yes, me too. Let me show you how it's done. Right. So I'm going to attack the nearest enemy.
Which,
Whoever it is.
not surprisingly, is the poor bugger that Bhajiri just smacked in the face, because one of his mates has caught him and pushed him back towards.
It's not down yet.
Oh no, he is not down. He's got a very, very bloodied face. Looks like a broken nose, a few missing teeth.
I mean, I probably don't want to take away his kill, so should I go for the one next to it, or
You've got
if it's too far away?
You've got a group of 11 odd, lightly armored people trying to, in about 3 or 4 abreast, get through the gate that Bhajiri is now blocking.
Oh yeah.
So you've got a choice of another 2 who can reasonably reach you without trying to shank their companions in the back.
Okay, and with my 2, so I'm going to be using my 2-handed maul, and I have I'm a novice in 2-hander style,
Yep.
which I should be able to push people back with 2 meters.
Yep.
Can I put them into something convenient?
From what you can see, you could either try to shove them back and stagger them a bit so that the ones behind the front 3 can't effectively try to hurt any of you, as they'd be too busy trying to not stab their friends.
Okay. Okay, so I will try to do that. Okay, so I roll attack first, right?
Yep. So that would be fighting plus your... Sorry. Yeah, fighting plus, I think you had your talent that gave you a focus in 2-handed.
See, I didn't roll very well, unfortunately.
We'll see.
Oh yes. So what happens if you roll double of fire? Because I rolled 2-1.
It depends on whether you hit or not.
Wait, who?
So that was 2 1s plus a...
Who died?
Okay, it's 2 plus 1 plus a 4 plus is it fighting?
Yep.
Plus a 3.
So it was
So
3.
that's 9 total.
Yeah. 9 total?
Yeah, 9 total without anything. Well,
Yeah.
I don't know if the focus adds anything.
We'll just double check, because you had the might talent off the top of my head.
Yes, but that's +2 to the raw power test. It's not a power test.
True.
Or...
No, not at the moment.
So unfortunately,
Yep.
No.
didn't roll very well.
That's right. So you go to swing, and the soldier sort of does this half step back and manages to just step out of the way.
Oh fuck! I will get you next time. I don't get a second attack, do I?
Not at this stage, no.
That's sad.
And that brings the 4 fellas that Tarin recruited. Oh, hang on, sorry. Nope, not them. I have misplaced turn on. Where are you? There. Sorry, it actually brings us to Tarin.
Oh, okay. In which case, Tarin's going to have literally like frozen while everything else has been going on and just kind of stood wide-eyed, looking a bit terrified, and also a bit like she might throw up every time there's blood spilt. And he's going to have like both his dagger and his short sword in his hand, and is like jumped out the way whenever anybody's been near him. Is there somebody approaching that he could attempt to stab?
So you can rush up alongside Bhajiri and Mug, and the 3 of you would largely block most of the gate.
Right.
So based on that, you would be 3 of you facing off against 3 of these light infantrymen with all their mates trying to shove them in the back forward to try and get the rest of them through.
Okay.
So
Well, Tarin's just going to wildly stab at things in the hope of hopefully hitting something or some vital point or somebody.
Noted.
Hopefully an enemy.
yeah, so you're using daggers off the top of my head, so that's
I've got a dagger and a 1 short sword. I don't know
Right.
if I can use both. Hopefully I can.
I'm presuming you don't actually have the two-handed sorry, not two-handed, two-weapon fighting yet. So
No,
at the
no.
moment you can use both if you want. You'll just take a penalty on the second weapon.
Right. How much is the penalty?
Off the top of my head, I think it's actually a -6.
Oh, okay.
Holy Jesus.
But
Maybe, then. Maybe I'll just stick.
but let me just double check.
Okay, double check that one, please.
I know that it's a pretty hefty one, but do. Actually, no, you can actually use both. Go for
Can
it.
I?
Yeah, go for both. I'm just going to make it easier for myself.
So yeah, so he's just gonna wildly stab in the direction of the enemies.
Yep.
Do I need to roll? I'm assuming I need to roll.
Yep, so you're using accuracy weapons off the top of my head, so roll...
Sorry, that cut out. What am I using?
Yep.
3?
So using accuracy, so you use accuracy, roll 3 dice, and... At the moment, I don't think you've got any bonuses on that, so yep, just
Right.
accuracy and 3 dice.
Okay. So that was 5 plus 6, which is, sorry, excuse my really poor maths today. Plus
If you
2.
type it out, I can help.
There you go. 11, 16?
Yeah, that hits.
Wait. Yeah, 16. Sorry, I doubted myself for a bit.
Yep, so roll damage for both your weapons.
Okay, so I need to roll twice then.
Yep.
And that's all 3 dice again.
Your weapon damage is based on the weapons you used.
Oh.
So a dagger from memory is 1d6 plus something or other. I will just go back to the equipment.
Sorry, what page is that on, and I can have a look?
Get past that. Weapon details.
54.
Yep. It's actually on 56, the table.
Oh, right, yeah.
So,
Yeah, 1d6 plus 1.
yeah, and 1d6 plus 2 for your short sword.
Okay. A 6 for the dagger, plus 1, so 7. Is that right?
Yep.
And then for the short sword, 3 plus 2, which is 5.
Noted. There we go. So, 2 of them are looking pretty bloodied. The one that you just slashed up, you managed to find a couple of weak points in his armor when you slashed across his chest with your sword, and then you gave him a gash as to go with it with another slash with your dagger.
Okay. Tarin kind of moves as if to really throw up, as in like kind of what's it called? You know, when the whole body kind of jerks.
Convulses with a gag.
Thank you. Convulses with a gag. That's the one. but I think leave it at that for my turn, I think.
Yep. Then that brings us to number 8 on the list. Rightio. They are getting pissed, those 4, so they're going to try and bull rush and shove everyone through. So the 4 heavily...
strength check.
Yes, so the 4 heavily armoured soldiers rush up now behind the lightly armoured ones, and seeing that they're in the way, go try to shove them ahead, at the very least, just to try and get a clear path for them to get through the gate. Can I get Bhajiri, Tarin, and Mug to all roll a strength might check?
You certainly can.
Guys?
That's
Guys?
3 dice plus our strength, right?
Yep.
Okay. Well, my
Guys,
So I
strength
get a
is
plus
0,
2
so that's
to
gonna
that.
start well.
Guys, can I suggest something?
Mhm.
If they're going for a bull rush, which means they have a lot of speed and a lot of strength, could we not just sidestep and watch as they fly off the docks?
No! Mug won't do that.
Bhajiri also won't do that.
Yeah,
Tarin
I
might
mean,
duck.
Mug will just stand in the way
Okay.
and block them. Mug wants to block them. Mug wants to show he's strong. He's strong. Right.
There's my score. 15 for me.
Yeah, question. So in this case,
Yep, you get to use your might.
yes, but can you also use the thing if you roll 2 of something?
Yes, you can.
Oh, yeah.
If you roll doubles, you can apply that.
So what does that do, or?
So you can use a combat maneuver to your advantage. So let me... Why am I looking at the wrong table? Let me go grab the stunt table, because that's so much
Would-
faster.
I've gotten 4 stunt points.
Yep.
So would I be able to use knock prone on someone who is one of the bastards right in front of me, so that they get trampled on?
Yes, you can.
Nice.
So
Wait. Okay, so I have 5 stunt.
right here.
How does it work?
So you can use pretty much those 5 points in any form you want. You can do a 5-point stunt, or you can split it into like a 3 or a 2-point stunt kind of thing.
Andrew.
What? I'm not sure what the stunt does.
Well, you got 5 points.
Yes.
For example, I would, in this kind of situation, let you use something like knock prone, but based on how high you got, you could also do a lightning attack
Oh yes.
at a mighty blow. So basically, not only are you pushing back against the attempted bull rush, you're taking the opportunity to attack your enemy at the same time.
Yes. That seems exactly like me. Come at me.
Yep, go for it. So roll an attack separate to your score, and I will just double check based on what your strengths were. So it was a 17. 4 plus 4 plus 1 plus 3 plus 2 is not going to be all of that because I didn't clear the calculator. 4 plus 4 plus 1 plus 3 plus 2. 14, a 15, and a 17, and 2 of these guys are not going to have a good day already.
Oh, but I rolled badly again.
That's all right.
And I don't get might added to this.
Well, Bhajiri managed to knock one prone first, and based on that,
Yeah.
Could I would like because I got 4. I wanted to knock 2 prone
yeah, go for it.
because I can't do maths. Fuck yeah.
So
I want those.
the
maths
two that were
trouble.
directly in front of yourself and Mug have just been shoved back onto their backs, just in time for the bull rush to occur. Mug's taken the opportunity to try and drop the hammer into one of the ones that's fallen. With an 11, let me just double check.
That's a 10, I think.
That would be 10.
Then,
And I did write 10 as well. So.
yep. Oh, sorry. Based on that,
Okay.
you do still miss the guy you were aiming for his head as he was falling. Unfortunately. But you do manage to also hold the line in that even though the crowd of light infantry are shoved directly into you, you push them back and create that little bit of fighting space back in front of you again. The two on the ground, however, yeah, he got trampled and he's managed to dodge it.
When you say trampled, does that mean he's dead?
No, you do see that one of the ones on the ground, the one that Bhajiri had already removed a couple teeth from, takes a boot clean across the face as well.
He's gonna look proper pretty in the morning, isn't he?
Yep. Currently, the two of them are also pinned down there, so they're not exactly able to get right back up by the looks of it.
That's helpful.
That was a smart choice. You did well, monkey man. Pat pat.
Rightio. That brings us to the last on the turn order, which is the poor soldiers that got shamed into joining in.
They don't seem very eager.
So 4 of them rush up onto the walls next to Edric, and they're going to use rifles to try to shoot at the heavies who are trying to push through. And hit them. And the one that is missing his weapon is going to sort of try and lean past Tarin and try to use his longsword to disembowel one of the lightly armed troops. And he's going to flail wildly and miss badly.
This guy's completely useless.
He give him points for trying.
Didn't even want to join in the first place.
Oh shit, the whole town is gonna think that he didn't try his hardest.
Outcast for life.
Right.
You ruined that man's entire
I have
life.
ruined it.
Does that
Rightio.
count as a first kill?
So, the ones that rushed up onto the walls, you see them all line up and fire off shots in succession. You actually hear the sound of one of the bullets ricocheting clean off the armor of one of the heavies up the back. One of them grunts slightly, but is still shoving into the back of the light guys, and it appears the third one has missed. And that brings us back up to Edric.
So I messaged you with some idea of what I would like to try. What I want to do is I want to see if I can hop off the wall on the other side and basically trap the enemies between us.
Go for it.
Okay,
That would be... Let me just double check. I will either go strength climbing or a dexterity acrobatics style test.
I'm gonna go with straight dexterity then,
Yep.
because I don't have either. Okay, that would be 4 stun points. And a grand total of 9 plus 11 is 12.
Yep, you leap off the walls, and what you're trying to do is actually land on the back of one of these guys to break your fall and kick off it.
Yeah.
You almost miss, but you just manage to land on the ground unscathed and stagger off a bit to give yourself some fighting room.
Nice. And the 4 stunt points, can I actually use them, or?
For that particular test, yes, you can. What I will say is...
Because the only one I really want... Wait, is advantageous positioning. That's the only thing I'm aiming for.
advantageous positioning.
To be able to
Yep.
move 2 yards more.
Go for it.
Okay, I'd like to move a little bit more, well, away from them.
Yep. So you've landed in such a way that you managed to kick off his back enough to give yourself some space.
Nice. In that case, wait, would that be an action or a minor action?
That would have been your move.
Oh,
So
that's
minor
just
action.
a movement.
Yeah, you jumped off the wall.
Oh, true. In that case, I'm gonna shoot the fucker in the back.
Right, go for it. Roll your attack.
I'm gonna specify that this is with sugar, so with the pistol.
Yep.
Oh. What happened at 3 6s?
Right. So this is a legendary action. What you do now will go down in history, presuming that there is witnesses to what you've done.
Oh.
So automatically you hit. I will classify this as a critical hit, so you will automatically do an extra d6 of damage.
Wow.
I'm somewhat sorry I didn't pick the arquebus now.
And you can also still spend those stunt points in any way you choose.
Okay. I'd like to spend 5 of them on a lethal blow,
Yep,
and the last one on a rapid reload.
go for it.
That's all. Oh, that's pretty good. 20 total damage.
Noted.
And it's to, well, basically the guy that's furthest back. But I assume those would be the heavier armored guys, right? Because they're pushing through, like trying to push their bodies forward.
Yep.
Okay, in that case, it's any one of those 4 heavier armored dudes.
So, from the viewpoint of Bhajiri and Tarin and Mug and this poor hopeless fella that's trying to shank these guys and missing wildly, while you're trying to hold back the line, you just see the figure of Edric drop from the gate above and backlit by this moon in the sky, bounce off the back and backflip onto the ground in a smooth movement, pull his pistol and fire at extremely short range into the back of the head of the closest heavy that he bounced off. This soldier spins with the impact and is screaming in agony. And Edric, you now have the attention of all 4 heavies who have realized they're now under attack from behind.
I forgot that part.
And we're back to Bhajiri, who has just witnessed Edric do a Batman.
Monkey man.
He is just excessively impressed. How? So the line's still being held well, right?
Yep. They haven't managed to push their way through, so at the moment only 3 of them have a fair chance of fighting you.
In that case, yeah, I'm gonna go for a little cheeky spear on the whoever's right in front of me.
Go for it.
And I got stunt points. I may or may not have dabbed.
How much did you get to hit?
Did the that.
That's
8, 11, 13.
13. Yeah.
you could
Not
math.
that difficult.
So you see an opportunity as you've shoved...
What was that? Sorry, you cut out.
Sorry. You see an opportunity as the shock of being attacked from behind confuses the light infantry that are trying to shove their way through and not be shoved onto their backs by the heavies, and the heavies sort of let go for a second. And the soldier that is on the ground and has so far managed to dodge being trampled by his companions gets your spear directly into the guts.
Ooh,
Roll damage.
that poor motherfucker. Oh, and I do have thingamabob points as well that I can use.
Yep.
I think. Because he's already prone, so.
Yep.
Fuck it, I'll go for a mighty blow.
Go for it.
I'll bring out my metal dice. My metal d6. Get fucked. That was such a bad roll. That's 7. Oh, plus my strength. That's
Yep.
10.
Yeah, he's not happy. You hear him scream. He sort of grabs at your spear and sort of struggles to pull it out and try to staunch the blow, and still continuing to dodge feet.
If he's struggling, Bhajiri fully wants to try and gut him.
I like how that went from I to Bhajiri. Keep lying to yourself about not wanting to gut him in real life as well.
I mean, to be fair, with the length of my spear, wouldn't get any of the guts on me. Wouldn't mind it.
That brings us up to Wisp. So, Wisp, you can see from the wall the heavy soldiers that they're wearing big metal breastplates and gauntlets mixed with chainmail over robes, and they've turned to face Edric, who has backed away enough to give himself some fighting room. but you're pretty certain you can hit any of them. Have we got a Wisp? Actually, Wisp is on mute.
Wisp.
With us.
That's right. We will hold Wisp's turn until we get a Wisp back. Which then actually goes to the dwarf, who leans over. Right. Apparently swearing to the dwarven gods improves your accuracy.
Did you not know that?
No, I did not.
So, you see him lean out and aim at one of the heavies, specifically the one that Edric actually hit. And he is going to... do that. So that and that. Fire a round that drops him. And without blinking, rapidly reload his rifle and aim it at the next one. Waiting for his next chance to get a shot off. So, one of the heavies, the one specifically that had been screaming, is now silently on the ground. Edric, you see a little bit of blood at this stage, but it's only enough to make you a little bit queasy.
Okay.
Do we have a Wisp back? Rightio. Wisp, you're up. You can see 3 of the heavy soldiers still standing, and you're pretty certain you can hit any of them from where you currently are.
Cool. So can I just do the same as last time, or do I need to reload?
You will need to reload, but that's a minor action. So you can reload and shoot in the one turn, as long as you
Cool.
don't move. Let me just double check these fellas' rules. Yep, noted. Yep, you definitely hit. So roll for damage. That will be crossbow. So it'll be 2d6 plus 1 for your damage.
Right. Plus, what was it?
2d6 plus 1. Plus, off the top of my head,
D6.
plus your perception to damage as well.
Oh,
Sorry. So for damage, it is 2d6 plus 1 for a crossbow, and plus your perception score for damage as well.
say that again. Sorry, Glenn, you cut
Right.
out.
Sorry. So 2d6 plus 1 damage plus perception.
+6 plus perception. Okay. Okay, so correct, because I have what do you call them, like seeing hearing on it. So
4,
you get +2.
10, 16 plus 1. Hang on, I'm not mathing right now.
12, 16, 17.
Yeah, and that was
That's
2d6. Oh, hang on, 2d6 plus 1 plus perception, yep.
Wait, but there's an additional +2 then.
Because I have I have seen and hearing, but I've only used 1 or whatever. So is that a +2, or did I just ignore that?
Was that seeing and hearing?
Yeah.
No, you... Oh, hang on. No, you don't add that one. That's only when you're doing that particular check, so that's...
Right, okay. And
12
And that
plus
would be 15.
15 damage. That's still pretty decent. Edric, you get the perfect view of a crossbow bolt sinking into the collarbone of one of the heavy soldiers, punching clean through his armor.
Nice.
You see a bit of blood, but the bolt itself seems to be stemming it quite a bit. But he clutches it and breaks the bolt.
Mother.
That brings us up to 4 on the list, which is already gone, which is now 5, which is those 3 light soldiers in front of Tarin, Bhajiri, and Mug are all going to try and attack, but what I'll first do is see whether the 2 on the ground manage to do anything about that situation.
Sorry, that cut out. What was that?
The 3 light infantry in front of yourself, Mug and Bhajiri, are going to try and attack, but the 2 on the ground are going to try and do something and get up. And both of them fail freaking miserably. They're still trying not to get stampeded.
They're not having a good day, are they, really?
No, they're probably going to get themselves kicked to death by their friends.
Joy.
Yay! That's what I wanted to happen.
Does a... Now I need to math. Fighting... No, hang on. They're lights, so they have that. Does an 11 hit you, Tarin?
Oh, does an 11 hit me?
Yep.
Sorry, let me roll. Let me find out.
Yep. Basically, if your defense is 11 or higher, you're good.
So that's all 3 die, isn't it?
It would be on your sheet as your current defense.
Oh, as my current defense?
Yep.
14.
Okay, yeah. No, the light trooper in front of you swings and completely misses you.
Oh, sorry, you cut out again. What was that?
He completely misses you. He's too busy trying to keep his balance while he's planting his foot into the crotch of the guy directly below him. This one seems to be having more luck.
Can Bhajiri say get fucked when he plants his foot in the crotch of the guy?
Yep. So you're saying that just as the one in front of you whose nose you broke Actually, no, he's the one on the ground getting the foot in the crotch. The one that's now standing on his crotch is going to swing at you for a 16.
Shit, I should have said get fucked. Yes, that may or may not exceed my defense.
Rightio. So he's going to hit with his short sword and try to do some damage to you. He luckily didn't stunt, so no panic there. Back to accuracy weapons. Right. That would be 3 damage minus your armor.
What does my armor do? Sorry.
You subtract your armor from the damage, and he did 3 damage.
Lol minus 3.
So he
I mean, I've got 6 armor, so.
he swings, and you just hear the sound of his sword scratching the outside of your armor.
Bhajiri is going to laugh.
And the last one is going for Mug, and that is a...
Ooh.
16.
Oh man. I guess hit.
That's a hit.
Oh.
That
That was really high.
The poor bastard. He
Why?
did 3 damage.
Mug laughs at him.
How much armor do you have?
4.
Right, so once again, this one is trying to keep his balance, and he makes contact, but he's just like caressing you with the tip of his sword. He's not actually doing anything with it.
Hit harder! Mug shouts at him.
Rightio. And now for the poor bastards on the ground.
Helemaal niet.
Ooh, boy.
Kut. Oké, nou dan ga ik wel even zoeken straks.
Rightio, so...
Nee, opladkabel is hier, die weet ik.
Bhajiri, you notice the one with the foot in the crotch? He takes a really solid stamp to the groin.
Moet ik nog naar beneden trouwens, voor verwarming? Oké, dan ga ik alleen naar beneden om te zoeken naar mijn oortjes. Is goed, hou van jou.
Rightio.
Sorry guys,
That's right.
forgot to mute.
So, the front line of them are trying to balance while not crushing their friends. They're doing a bad job at both. They've missed you badly with their attacks, and the poor guy that's got his friend's foot in the crotch just took a crushing stamp from him. He's not looking happy at all. That brings us up to Mug.
I guess I will try to hit them again.
Yep.
Cause
I'm presuming you'd like to go for the one that lightly caressed you with the tip of his blade?
sorry?
I'm presuming you'd like to attack the one that lightly caressed you with the tip of his blade.
Whichever one is convenient.
That would be him.
Okay. Oh, finally a bit. That's... So I just add the strength.
So, to do your attack, it will be your 3 dice plus... Okay, hang on. Let me just jump us so that we've got, hopefully, better sound.
Oh, yeah, no, it's my attack, right? But there's 3 as well.
So, for your attack, it will be 3 dice plus your fighting.
Yes.
Yep. Yeah, that's going to hit.
Yay! What was my damage again? Oh, so I'm going to push them back as well, 2 meters.
Yep.
And-
You can do
Oh
that.
yeah, and my attack is 6.
Yep.
Oh shit! It's not max damage. but it's 15 points of
Alright. So you smash your maul into the chest of the guy directly in front of you and drive him backwards into his mates. You actually clear a bit of room in front of you.
See, this is how it's fucking done.
You heard several ribs break with that attack.
This is how you hurt.
To be honest, the guy that you've just hit looks in more pain than the one that's been danced on for like the last 2 rounds. Radio. Just to cover the bits that seems people missed because of cutout, the soldiers on the ground were trying to get themselves back up. One of them took a solid foot to the crotch and obviously didn't like it. The other one got tussled a little bit, but he wasn't exactly hurt that much. The rest of them had tried to attack you and missed, and Mug has now just shattered the ribs of one.
Whoa, nice.
And that brings us to Tarin's turn.
Right. Just trying to think of who's where at this point. So, we've
So,
got
to describe the
2
scene,
light soldiers down.
2 of them are on the ground.
Yeah.
They're not looking great.
Yeah.
One of them is whimpering as his friend's heel is grinding his crotch.
Yes.
One of them is doing his best to get up and is not getting anywhere. The heavy soldiers have turned to face Edric. One of them is dead, and another looks like he is on his way. The light troops are kind of just stuck in that tunnel trying to either get at you or get back past the heavies that are now blocking off their escape and realizing that they're kind of in the shit.
Yes. How many roughly is that?
So there's 11 of the light soldiers still alive. 2 of them are on the ground. So there's 9 of them kind of wedged in this tunnel.
Wandering, yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. If I kind of dodge forward a bit and try and get at one of the ones who's behind the ones on the ground, will that ruin our kind of wall of people that we've got going?
No, because you would...
Because Flaley McFlaley was behind me last I heard.
Yes, he is there trying to reach past you. So you could actually step into the space a little bit where the one that Mug knocked back is.
Okay. Could I very stupidly do that and just flail around a bit myself and try and hit somebody else?
Yep.
Preferably somebody standing and not yet injured.
Yep. Can do. So you will step in and the McFlaley behind you sort of replaces you in the line.
Fantastic. I got 2 6s and a 3 for my roll.
Yeah, that hits.
Also, what skills should I be adding as well?
Right. Let's...
Is that accuracy again, or is it...
it would be accuracy on top of that, but you had, 2 6s and a 3?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a hit already.
Yeah.
You also stunted,
Yes.
so you can go through the shopping list of combat stunts.
And murder stuff.
Do I need to do damage as well?
I would look at the stunts first because some of those add to your damage.
Okie dokie. In which case, seems only fair to go for lethal blow, doesn't it, really?
Yep. That leaves you with 1 point as well, so you can do an additional one. Although, frankly...
Can I do stay aware? Because I've put myself in a fairly precarious position there. Does that work?
Yep. I will allow that. Yeah, that will work.
Do I need to do something for that? It says perception test.
No, that will basically mean that if it gives you a +1 on bonus on the next test you have to make. So, for example, if someone's trying to do something in an opposed check, like shove you over, you'll get a +1 against that.
Sweet. Yeah. So I've gone for lethal blow, which is 2d6 damage on my attack.
Yep.
Is that right? As well as my normal attack.
Yep.
Fantastic. So for my dagger, that's what I got 3 + 1, so that's 4. For my short sword, I got a 6 + 2, which is 8. And then for the lethal blow, I got 9.
Right. So that goes to that goes to that because of armor. You were going for one that was still standing, right?
Yes, please.
Rightio. You just lay into him with a swiping set of slashes that perfectly slip in the gaps between his leather armor and just send sprays of blood over his friends. He is very badly messed up and very angry.
Oh dear. Can Tarin just look at him a bit terrified and go, sorry? Like that.
You can. That brings us up to the heavies that are all facing Edric.
Nope.
Rightio. So the first two of them that won't hit are going to try and bull rush you.
But you said they won't hit?
The one that wasn't hit. So two of them weren't
hit.
Yeah.
Oh. I was like, that's useful.
So that one. I'm going to presume an 11 doesn't hit.
Nope. 13 is my defense.
Right. So the first one comes up and tries to attack you with a battle axe, and he just misses altogether.
That would get blood on my clothes.
Yeah, the second one's not having a good day either. The surprise of being attacked from behind, especially since they didn't see anyone on their approach, has really thrown them off. They're not having a really good day of it. The third one is going to try and work his way around behind you, Edric, but he's not going to engage yet. And
that's one of the ones that's damaged, right?
Yeah, he's not in good shape. He is being a little bit more cautious.
Good.
And that brings up our friends on the wall and Flaley McFlaley.
Don't shoot me.
So McFlaley's going to capitalize on Tarin's attack. I almost needed to take a photo of that. You must have inspired him, because he very, very nearly got a legendary roll.
Oh, really?
Yeah, 2 6s and a 5. There is no way he missed. So, McFlaley, inspired by you, is going to also lunge forward
God.
He is going to use a dual strike with his longsword.
Ooh.
And he is going to hit the two closest to him, which are, ironically, the two that are still standing nearest to you, Tarin. So that's going to be dual strike for that, and he will try a mighty blow as well.
sorry.
Sorry, he'll do a dual strike and a mighty blow. Longsword, let me just double check the damage on that. So a longsword's 2d6 plus mighty blow. So in a massive swing, he decapitates one of them that's still standing and
Whoa.
sinks his
Okay.
blade heavily into the other one that's standing right next to you, Tarin.
Oh, great. Can I squeal?
Yep, you may go for that because this guy is now barely holding himself up.
Sweet.
Hang on, what is the mass of this?
Is that a squeal in delight or?
It's a bit of both. I'm not quite sure. I don't think Tarin quite knows what he's feeling at this point.
Right.
Bloodlust.
Rightio. Based on that, he's had his go, and we have 3 dead light soldiers in the tunnel.
Yes.
Just need to math. 2 of them died outside the walls. That brings us to 9. Yep. So that was them. The ones on the wall are going to take their shots. That's 1 hit. That's 2 hits. And 3 hits. So the poor bugger that was actually trying to flank you has just managed to get himself shot 3 times. And is very, very dead.
Yay!
Yay. Another one bites the dust.
That said, we're now back to the top, and Edric, you just watched another of them get pummeled into the ground by gunfire, and you are now facing only 2 heavies.
Oh shit! Is he bleeding?
The one that got shot, you're starting to see an increasing amount of blood. I would recommend you do a willpower.
Okay, that's. I'm not going to be able to do stunts on this, right?
No.
Okay, that would be 14 total.
You're alright for now. You've built up enough of a tolerance to... This is fine, this is okay. You feel dandy. You're not panicking yet. You're trying to convince yourself.
No, it isn't panic. No, it isn't panic.
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay, with that, I'm gonna let me quickly take a look at minor action. Yeah, what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna aim
Yep.
and shoot one of the heavies in the face.
Yep. This with the arquebus or a pistol?
Do they have big helmets?
Yeah, the heavy ones do have helmets on.
In In that case, I'm going to aim right below the helmet, so in the neck.
Okay, yep.
That's gonna be no stunt points. And 15 to hit.
Yeah, that hit.
Nice. Oh, this is with the arquebus, by the way.
Yep. Roll your
Okay.
damage.
That's 6 plus 5 is 11 points of damage.
Rightio. He takes a hit and staggers a bit, but you see that quite a bit of your shot didn't quite penetrate his armor.
Okay.
But you can see parts where it did.
Good.
Rightio, so that's that. We're back to Bhajiri. You have a grand total of 9 slightly panicking looking soldiers trapped in a tunnel. And 2 of them are on the ground.
Excellent. Right, so... Thinking is difficult. Okay, so... What Bhajiri is going to do...
Yep.
He's going to maliciously... Not maliciously, but he's just going to, like... laugh a bit and be like... and state, like... Oh, you should all probably run away before you all get killed, and he's gonna go and attack someone else.
Go for it.
He's specifically going to be attacking someone who's standing.
Yep. Roll your attack, but if you hit, I'll ask you to do something else as well.
Okie dokie. That is a... 15.
Yep, that hits. Can I also get you to roll a communication?
Oh, I also got 4 stunt points. I didn't realise that.
Awesome. That's definitely a hit, so you'll get to roll your damage and use those stunt points. Separately, can you also roll a communication?
Okie dokie. That is 13. 13.
On the communication?
Yes.
Any stunts or just that?
No, just 13.
You see a couple of them seem to contemplate what you've just said, but they're sticking around. It seems like they're more afraid of the more heavily armored troops behind them than they are of you at the moment.
That's a shame. I
Yep.
would like to... So, because I'm attacking one person who's standing up,
Yep.
obviously, boy wants to use knock prone on him.
Go for it.
And also, how close is he to the other people that are on the ground?
Currently, the closest ones to you are now all on the ground. They're, that's 3 on the ground at the moment, and the remaining 6 of them are the ones up the other end closest to the heavy. They were the ones that were more likely contemplating getting the hell out.
Okay, well, if I can, I would like to try to, because I have my two-handed style,
Yep.
so I can move my enemy up to 2 meters. I would like to, the one that I am knocking prone, I would like to try to also knock him prone onto the guys that are already knocked prone.
Right? On top of them.
Yes.
Right.
Shove them on each other.
Are you still contemplating building a wall out of prone people?
Oh, hell yeah. And my other 2 points I'm going to spend on my mighty blow, so I have 3d6 damage. Which is abysmal damage. That is literally a 7.
Oh dear.
So that was the one you knocked prone?
Yes.
7 damage?
Yeah, 7 damage.
Awesome. You have literally
that
just
fucker down.
thrown a corpse onto the top of the 3 that are on the ground.
That's not going to be scarring at all.
No.
Well, they must be used to this.
Yeah,
They're fighters, aren't they?
that's true, but like,
To be fair.
yeah,
They're not innocent people in the street.
Mug, I'll get you
I still
to...
think we should tie them up, but
Sorry, what was it, Glenn?
From what you know, the lightly armed ones are, because you recognize them at this stage,
Oh.
they are the...
Oh, I guess it just clicked.
Yeah, they are slave raiders from your home country. They're not exactly frontline soldiers. They're not used to people fighting back. The 4 heavily armed soldiers that Edric was facing down, there's now 2 of them. They're the actual standard soldiers from Skyak School. You're pretty certain if the soldiers all die, these guys are going to bolt. They've already lost far too many of their friends. So,
Well, am I correct? Probably.
is that breaking up for other people or just me?
It's breaking up for me
For
as well.
everyone.
I
Yep.
was just
Yeah.
typing that I didn't hear a single word.
I said that Mug is probably not clever enough to make to figure it out, but he would probably want to fight whoever is the strongest.
From what you know of your homeland, you know that the strongest ones are the ones with the heavier armor, and you know that
Yes.
the lightly armored ones with the chains on the belts will run given a good enough opportunity. And that's from experience.
Yeah. Okay, so I'm fighting the heavy armored one now.
Thank you.
So you're going to push yourself past the remaining 6 to try and attack one of the heavy armed ones in the back.
Oh yeah, and if I can't, I will get plus strength.
What I'll do is I'll get you to do a opposed strength check to try and push these lightly armored guys out of the way.
Yeah. So I guess I might.
That will be a might roll. And let me check that. Because I'm pretty certain these guys just fucked up. Yeah, they fucked up. We'll see what you roll, though.
Mine is not great either, but I get all the delicious modifiers. So, 30.
You get a bit of resistance, but you literally just shoulder your way through. And
Yeah, out of my way.
so the 2 that tried to hold you back are sort of dragged out of the tunnel with you and manage to stagger themselves clear, but they're no longer in the tunnel with their friends. And you got a clear opportunity to attack the nearest of the soldiers in the back.
Yeah.
So roll your attack.
Okay, now let's roll something good. Not great.
So 3D plus your fighting.
I'm not rolling very well. That
Let's see how much that is. Yeah, that hits.
11.
Yep,
Oh,
that hits. Roll your
Yay.
damage. Yeah, the you're used to fighting more heavily armored opponents who aren't as good at dodging out of the way.
Okay. That's good. That's fine. I'm sure some of that will be deducted. But and then I can push them back as well.
Yep.
Right.
So you push him over towards Edric, but he took a mighty thump in the back at the same time.
Yeah. Nice.
That brings us to... back to the turn order. Mug's on 6. That brings us to Tarin.
To be honest, I think that's fairly average damage for me.
Now, I think I'm just gonna keep doing what I was doing because we've no longer got a line behind us, so the only way is forward if we want to do any sort of keep anybody safe, really.
You've got 6 very panicky looking slavers in front of you.
Which is making me feel more confident. And Tarin is rather starting to like this fighting thing. So he's going to deliberately stab, not flail, deliberately stab the next person closest to him. Who, preferably an enemy again.
Go for it.
So I got 2 4s and a 6. So is that 14? Yeah.
Yep.
And I get stunt. Yay!
That hits.
So for stunt, can I use dual strike?
Yes, you may.
Yay! And the secondary target will just be whoever's next to the person I was initially intending to hurt.
Yep. So there is still, if my maths is correct, 3 of them on the ground, 1 with a body on top. That means there is 4 of them still standing in the tunnel with you.
Sweet. So shall I roll for my damage now?
Yep, roll for your damage, and from memory it goes over both
I
of
need
them.
to do 1 for each one. So for my dagger, that's 3 + 1, which is 4, not great. For my short sword, that's 3 + 2, which is 5, still not great, but better than 4.
Rightio, so take their armor off that. And both of them get that. So he is now at a...
Did you catch my last damage? Because my sound keeps cutting out, so I don't know if you can hear me.
So that was...
I've got a 4 for my dagger and a 5 for the short sword.
Yep, got both of that.
Cool.
Awesome. Hopefully I can do something about the sound at some point soon.
Should
I
I
don't
jump
know
us?
my computer or not, so I'm not sure.
No, it's not just your computer.
Yeah.
I've been having sound issues as well.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, jump us to Central Europe, so we'll see how that goes.
We are in Central Europe.
Oh, okay. Jump us back. You're able to do a quick head count as well, and you have 4 dead light enemy soldiers, 3 soldiers on the ground, all of them in various stages of not looking great. Let me just make sure I've got the numbers here right. Because there was... No. So that's him stuck. That's him stuck. Rightio. 4 of them are in various stages of looking pretty hurt. And the ones that are unhurt are looking increasingly like they don't want to be where they are right now. That was Tarin's turn. It is now the heavy infantry's turn, and well,
Oh,
they're
they're
not.
probably attacking me.
The one you hit in the back is going to spin around and try and attack you, and
Good. That way, at least I won't die.
and one of them is after Edric. So the one after Edric, because that was so bad, I'm still calling that a crit fail. Because that was 2 1s and a 2, and I will let him fail. So he goes to strike you with his weapon and manages to whiff so bad that he impedes the attack of the one that has spun around to deal with Mug.
Ooh, even better.
Yeah?
Yeah. So the one that went to attack Mug has a -1 on his attack. And I just need to check what his fighting is. So does a 11 hit you, Mug?
I have a defensive. Oh.
Nope, so he misses. All courtesy of the fact that his friend fucked him up. That brings us to the allies on the walls, who will have Flaley McFlaley charge in as well. He seems to be highly inspired by Tarin's endeavours. And shows it by flailing around and not doing an awful lot. The ones on the walls are going to target the heavy that's approaching Edric. That one's a miss. That one's a miss. And that one's a miss. You kind of get the feeling that they're not very great marksmen. And that brings us up to Edric.
Well, I think I'm very, very tempted to, shoot the fucker in the face a few more times. The fucker that tried to attack me.
Yep. Your last shot was with the arquebus, right?
Yeah. Wait, he attacked me with a melee weapon, right?
Yes, he attacked you with a melee weapon.
Is there a gap between his helmet and his body armor?
There is a small gap, yeah.
I'd like to shove my the rifle. Well, yeah, the end of the shooty end of the rifle between his helmet and his body armor, and then shoot.
Roll a dexterity check.
I expected something like that. I'm gonna take a picture because, well, I love these D6s.
Did you just, legendary?
No.
I was
It's only
about
a 6, a 6, and a 5.
Only.
You perfectly managed to get the gap and have the barrel of your gun basically right against the flesh of his neck.
I do think it's only fair that I now take that I use that as my aim minor action.
Go to yep. Roll to.
Okay. And then I roll to hit.
Well, at this stage, I'm just going to say roll to do damage. You're not going to miss.
Good. Do I get the stunt points from
You
the
will.
dexterity check?
You will get the stunt points as an attack.
Fuck.
To be honest, Dex is your aim anyway. So
Yeah, fair.
actually, is it Dex or perception?
Oh, it's
Sorry, it's accuracy. Accuracy. Yeah, that's right. But
that's for my stunts, I'm gonna use lethal blow, combined with lightning of a rapid reload to make sure that I have my gun reloaded.
Yep.
So then that's 2 more d6s. That's 2 3s. So that will make 16 plus 5 is 21 damage.
He'd already taken damage.
He did.
You just executed him.
Wow. Poor guy.
So he's gone in for the attack, and you, without giving two fucks, have just lightly put the barrel of your gun against his neck and pulled the trigger, and he has hit the ground hard.
I politely asked him to apologize.
After he died.
Yeah.
And based on that, that's one.
I think that's my entire turn then.
Yeah.
I mean,
That's two. Two of the light soldiers have witnessed that. The ones that were outside, dragged by the barrel charging dwarf, and they've gone, fuck this shit, we're out, and they're running.
Yay!
They're running for it.
can I yell after them as like the end of my turn?
Yep.
I'm just gonna curse them out like filthy fucking maggots, something like that.
Don't run away! We're only just going to the good part.
God damn it! Will you stop being so funny when I take a sip of my drink?
All right, we're up to you, Bhajiri.
Whiskey up your nose is no fun.
How many are there left?
There are 7 of the light infantry. 3 of them are stuck on the ground right now, and 1 of the heavy infantry left. You have done a very good job of culling their numbers.
Excellent. And how many had just turned tail and ran?
2 of them so far. But the
Only 2.
yes, but the remaining light infantry, well, the ones that can see, because 3 of them on the ground have a corpse on them. The ones that can see are looking increasingly likely that they want out.
Okay, well, in that case, Bhajiri is going to point his spear to the throat of one of the geezers on the ground and basically say, you can surrender now, and no one else gets hurt. Simple.
Roll a communication. Go for it.
That is not very good. It is only an 11, but I got 5 stunt points.
Let me... Yep, I'd say that's enough.
Brilliant.
for it.
And I would also love to spend my stunt points on sway the crowd something that would be
Yep.
good for that.
Let's just say that you're...
And I'm gonna make I would like to spend the other 3 on jest and make a stupid face that's gonna like half stupid, half terrifying. You know.
The slavers that are standing they don't even wait, they just drop their weapons. The ones on the ground stiffen when they hear you say surrender, and the one that has your spear against his neck is just staring at the tip of it. They're out of the fight. You know immediately that you have their absolute attention, and they do not want to fight you anymore.
Excellent.
So the only person left in the fight is the heavy soldier that is now cussing out his would-be allies. And facing the dwarf.
Oh, come at me.
So, based on that, it is now Wisp's turn.
I'll shoot my crossbow again, I suppose.
Yep, you can just see the heavy. He's standing close enough that you have to lean out a little bit to take your shot, but you can see him. Timo, at that no one else gets hurt bit, you look into the tunnel and it looks like carnage in there. So roll a willpower check for me and give me a score, thanks.
That's 3 threes, so that's 9 minus 1 is 8.
Yeah, nope. You're now in full nope stage.
13.
Uh-oh.
Like, you've had your fill, you've seen too much.
I'm instantly holstering the gun if I get the time to do that.
Yep. 13 is going to hit, so roll damage. Let me just double check his health.
Can I also add pinpoint attack to that, or?
Oh, yes, you can. I should have actually mentioned that to rogues.
Oh shit.
What's that?
Rogues get pinpoint attack.
What's that?
Page 22.
Page 22.
5,
32.
I have page numbers in my character sheet so that I remember where to look.
That's clever. 22.
Pinpoint attack is once per round you can add 1d6 if the dexterity is greater than your opponent.
Uh,
Oh, right.
so, Wisps, your dexterity is?
Or plus initiative? No, that's 6.
Yeah, your dexterity is definitely good enough. Go back to here. Is that 13 damage? Right. That one is not looking happy. That's that much damage. Rightio. So Wisp leans out, aims a pinpoint attack, and sinks a crossbow bolt into the only remaining soldier that looks like he still wants to fight. And the dwarf takes his chance. And he does the same. He's going to lean out and take a shot. And he has absolutely had it with the slavers, so he is going to use 5 points for a lethal blow.
Ooh. This guy is toast.
Yep, that's an understatement. Edric, you've got your eyes locked on the only now surviving soldier just in time to watch his head detonate.
God damn it. That's a blood fountain.
Delicious.
I'm gonna literally turn around
Yep. So with that, the immediate fight is over.
Woohoo! We survived.
Woo!
It's already.
Yep. From the wall, you hear a shout from the dwarf going, "It looks like we're loaded up and we're ready to go. And there's more of them coming down that road. We better get going."
Good.
But I want to.
I'm beelining to the ship. However, I'm gonna specify. I pull my mask up so that like my entire beard is as hidden as possible. The nose is not recognizable. My glasses on, and my hood is far up as possible to basically disguise myself as much as possible, and then close like the jacket and everything to, not seem like myself.
What Bhajiri is going to do,
Yep.
for those that have not fled, essentially, he is going to say, you go first. Make sure you've got no weapons on you. I'll kill you if you do. And he's going to gesture for them to get on the ship, and then he's going to gesture to be like, well, we're going to tie these fuckers up, though, just to be sure.
So the uninjured ones help their injured companions up and drag them in front of you towards the ship.
Bhajiri blows them a kiss.
Those that helped you fight are slowly making their way back. They've got the guns trained on the slavers that are with you and keeping a careful eye on the gate. By the sounds of it, the fighting seems to have eased off in the city, but that does not seem like a good thing. And you can see from the deck, Merrisea and the much shorter Bingo waving at you desperately to get onto the ship.
Wait, I can't leave without boss.
Was that the one that got stabbed outside?
What do you mean? Stabbed? Hmm? My boss stabbed? Must be just doing business somewhere.
The one that entered the tavern with you?
Yes, that was boss.
That one got stabbed.
Huh? What do you mean? Is he okay?
He certainly bled a lot.
Is he dead?
Honestly, at the point when I last saw him, I hoped so for him. That looked painful.
Bhajiri is face palming,
Wait,
using his foot to clarify.
wait,
So
you're telling me that boss is fucking dead?
yeah.
I gotta check this out.
Well, we don't really have time.
Bhajiri's going to hand mug like a bloody sock of someone that must have been murdered and be like, You're a free dwarf.
What the hell do you mean?
Oh dear.
Just
Right.
come to the boat, please. It'll be great. We're gonna be fine. Don't worry about it. Sort it out then. In a less stressful situation.
But if I don't have a boss, who's going to feed me? How am I going to eat?
With your mouth?
I think if we get on the ship, there's probably food there.
There's food on this ship? I can eat on this.
Yeah. Head there. Yeah. Sorry. Tarin's going to look at Bhajiri and Edric Well, actually, no, Edric's already gone, but gonna look at Bhajiri and we go, like, what happened to the wall of dead people? Should we do that now?
Forget about it. Let's just go. We'll be long gone.
Okay. And he's gonna turn around and sprint.
Right. So you sprint across the docks and are boarding the ship just as you see the next wave of soldiers start to make their way on through the gate over the bodies of their companions. The other two ships have already started to peel away, and there's a little bit of exchange of gunfire as they fire rifles until they're too far at a distance. Once you're on board, the crew work really quickly to get the gangway up, and you, in perfect fashion, as just that, start to get the fuck out of there.
Sorry.
The soldiers, as soon as at least 10 meters gets between the dock and yourself, just give up. They're not gonna, they know they can't stop you escaping, but they don't seem too panicked about that either. You, with the hum of the engines driving the giant propellers of the Argonaut, start to sail out of the southern entrance of Freeport.
Bitch, bye.
And join up with all the other ships that have been fleeing. You see that there is practically a flotilla of ships of all sizes, the Argonaut being a reasonably sized one. There's small little yachts, there's small trade ships, and as you make your way past the wall and out into the beginning of the Dune Sea, you see the dwarven ship leave the main harbour, and it is in the distance just slowly thundering through a smoke cloud of its own making as it is firing broadsides out the side of just cannon after cannon into what looks like to be a massive battle. You hear the captain shout the order, "All steam ahead. We're getting the hell out of this place." And the crew start to rush about to do his orders. I will get all of you to do a perception check, but Edric, yours is for a different thing.
Why the fuck are... Okay.
Oh, that was not good. I got 7 plus 3. Do I use seeing in this one?
Yes, seeing will be giving you a +2 bonus.
2. Yeah, so 7 plus 5, so I've got 12 in total.
Rightio. So that's
I got
12,
13 if I
13.
can count.
Alright, Edric got a 17.
It seems you successfully counted.
I can count, but I can't read my fucking dice because I didn't get a 2, 3, and a 4. I got a 2, 4, and a 5. I'm dumb.
Then you get 2 more, so that's a 15. Here you
Yay.
go, I math it for you.
Thank you.
Rightio.
I got a 17 total.
So, for anyone that got 15 and above, you see
Oh, wait, is this everyone or just...
anyone who is paying attention to anything other than the battleship at the moment.
Oh, fuck!
I'm paying attention to one specific thing, but I
Yep.
guess you know which thing.
That's why you rolled separately.
Good.
I rolled a legendary and...
Oh my god! Even better since your character isn't necessarily the most perceptive.
This is going to be downright hilarious.
She's now known worldwide for seeing things.
So I will start with
Why
Edric.
did I waste on this?
Ooh.
So Edric, you spot two things of interest. The first is that the dwarf that you witnessed shank a certain slaver out the front of a pub is actually on board ship with you.
Ooh.
He is hiding amongst the crowd of refugees. You see him just as he slips below deck. Based on that, Mug, you see this dwarf duck behind deck, and this dwarf's eyes, like, sort of meet yours and seem to widen in recognition. You're not certain why, but this dwarf knows you, and he seems very worried by that. Bhajiri, you also see the dwarf. You recognize exactly who he is.
Bhajiri's just like, that's gonna be interesting.
Edric, you also see up the other end of the ship. Standing next to the captain is the familiar face of Lady Alara DuPont. And she is talking to the captain.
She is talking. She is talking to the captain.
Yep.
Okay.
Before the captain turns to address the crew, you hear a horn sound which draws your attention back to the giant dwarven ship. The ship has pulled out and away and seems to be steaming full ahead to try and join up with the flotilla, but has begun to turn, and you see coming from the other side of the city 3 large ships. They're bearing the colours that Muggle recognise from home. The rest of you are presuming that they are the enemy ships that brought the army that is attacking Freeport. The dwarven ironclad turns in to meet them head on and charges directly at the middle ship. As they approach each other, the middle ship turns to try and give broadside, not realizing the dwarf captain's intent, and receives a ram directly through the center, ripping the ship clean in half. Just as the other 2 battleships open up with their broadsides and rip the dwarven battleship apart.
Oh.
Oh boy.
That seems like we should get the fuck away from here.
Something which your captain thoroughly agrees with, as most of the fleet is, and you are now gunning it out of there. The dwarf who fought with you on the walls is pushing various sailors around into position to defend the vessel if needed, but looks across at you lot and sort of gives a half salute and a grin and basically goes, they're not going to be able to catch up with the Argonaut. Try as they might. They'd need a much smaller, faster ship to get anywhere near us.
Sweet.
Good.
While all this has been happening, can I have just been like sat with my head between my knees going, what the fuck is going on? What the fuck is going on? What the fuck
You
is
may.
going on?
To be honest, you're not alone in that. Quite a lot of citizens are in the same position.
Wait, what was the thing that I managed to notice in my legendary roll?
So you spotted the dwarf that had murdered your boss. You don't know who the dwarf is, but you know the dwarf recognizes you specifically.
Oh, But how did I know that they murdered my boss? Because I didn't see him getting murdered.
You don't know that he did that, but you know that this dwarf knows you. You don't.
Oh, okay.
You've never met him in your life, but you know he specifically knows you.
Oh, okay, I missed that. Interesting.
So with that, and with you steaming away, theoretically towards safety,
Towards something.
the Dunes see an adventure. We'll put it to that. It's coming up on 11 here, which means it's nearly midnight for you, Edric. Did we want to leave it on this cliffhanger and see where your sailing takes you?
Does seem like a appropriate place, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah. Although I do want to say that one thing that Bhajiri is definitely doing is after getting onto the ship, he is going to congratulate Tarin and Flaily Boy for how well they did, considering how out of depth he thought they were. And he's going to make sure he's going to check on like every single one of the new prisoners that they own.
Tarin's gonna look up, thank him, and say, "I'm so glad you were there," and then just kind of look at Flaily McFlaily and shake his head.
Flaily McFlaily is sitting roughly opposite you, Tarin, and doing the exact same thing as we were before. Just like, what is going on? Why am I here? What? Basically the whole, what the fuck, how am I still alive?
Yeah. Can we have a description of Flaily McFlaily next time? So that, because I feel like he might become a very prominent member of the crew.
Important member.
What I'll give you right now is that he looks young. Like, he looks like he's probably only just going on 17. He's been... He looks like he's fit enough to have been training for a while, but this was probably his first ever fight.
So in a very similar boat to Tarin then.
Yep.
Age-wise and battle-ready-wise.
He looks whiter than a ghost right now, and seemingly shocked that he still has, 10 fingers still on his hands and all his blood still inside his body.
Can we call him Flails from now on? Can that be his nickname?
Yes.
Yes.
I think the one thing that Edric is doing, like, at the end of this session, then, is going to be staring at the captain and the lady he's talking to.
At which point, the dwarf who you fought with gives you a good nudge and says, "She's a pretty one, ain't she?" And then holds his hand out to offer a shake and goes, "You're a decent fighter up there, lad."
I'll grab the hand and I'll say, "Thanks, I'm not this used to it."
And he goes, "You'll get used to it in time. There's far, far too many slavers and pirates out there. The name's Gunnery Chief Tarkin."
Wait, I'm gonna type that out. Gunnery Chief Tarkin?
Yep.
Like that.
Glad we have a name for him now.
Yep.
Yes. Nice. Name's Edric.
Good to meet you, lad. And I can see that a lot of you are going to make a definitely good addition to this crew.
Tarin's just going to look up and nonchalantly go, "Yay!"
Bhajiri will laugh.
I'll take the cask from from the top of my backpack. Take a big swig and hand it to the gunnery chief as well to take a swig.
He'll take one and you just see him take a decent swig and hand it back and just run the back of his hand through his beard, spearing a bit of the ale through with it.
With that, I'm gonna like attach the cask back to the top of my backpack and like basically do the same, and then quickly pull up my mask again to hide my beard and mouth and nose.
Yep. He'll nod to each of you and go, get some rest. It's a long trip back to Marliam, and based on the direction we're sailing, I'm pretty certain that's where we're headed.
Any place I could replace some black powder and bullets?
He gives you a big grin. It's like, I'll get them myself for you. Follow me. And anyone who's spent ammunition, he'll lead you down towards the ship's armory to top up what you've used.
Nice. I'm gonna enjoy that place.
So with that, you're sailing off into the night, trying to escape from any chase from the slavers, and on your way to Port Marley.
Oh, wait. Mug wants to try to poke that dwarf.
Yep. Since Timo's not fallen asleep yet, I'm pretty certain we've got just enough time.
I'm perfectly fine.
Yep. So you saw him slip below decks. So you saw which hatch he went through.
Yeah, so I comfortably walk down. I'm not afraid of anyone. They should be afraid of me.
You see that most people step out of your way. Some out of
Oh, yeah.
respect and some out of just sheer terror.
Sorry, some of them.
Some of them out of respect because they were able to see you fighting, and others out of just terror because you look fearsome enough that they don't want to mess with you.
I look like a thug.
Yep.
Like a bad mug.
You are the bad man.
Bad mug.
So
Bad
you slip below decks. You walk through the same hatch that the gunnery chief goes, although he leads Edric off basically down a corridor that heads down the left-hand side of the hull of the ship. Can I get you to do a perception check?
Me?
Oh no, not
Mug.
again. Now I will get. Ah. I think. Let me just see if I have any. Okay. Okay.
You look around up both corridors and you see no sight of this dwarf. It's like he's vanished.
He must be somewhere here.
So to your left was the tunnel that Edric and the gunnery chief walked down, and to your right is another corridor that seems to go down the right side of the hull, with rooms being basically in between these two corridors. Based on the size and shape of them, you think there's another deck below, possibly. You can hear noises. There is... Oh, right.
Headphones died again.
Yep. That will tight as well. Rightio. So best way to do this is I'll speak it and try and type at the same time. Basically down the other corridor, there are 4 doors.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
And so there's 4 doors down that corridor that seem to lead into rooms. Based on the spacing, it looks like the other side of the ship would have probably a similar number of doors, and that these rooms don't appear to be connected.
I guess I would start knocking on the doors.
The first door you approach, you knock on, and it gets opened, and you see that it looks like a storage room for a whole bunch of cargo and supplies for the ship, but it is also crammed with people as well. It looks like the crew have been trying to get as many civilians into the ship as possible, so they've been actually putting them in with the cargo and trying to get them as spaced out but comfortable as possible for a reasonably lengthy journey to Port Marley.
So I say I'm looking for a dwarf, and then I say how they look. I'll just say to the random people around.
Some of them look at each other and shrug. One of the older looking men in the room shakes his head and goes, "There's no dwarves in here with us. You could try some of the other rooms, but there's so many people on this ship. It's hard to keep track of where everyone is at any given time."
Yeah. I'll look around. What is?
So you try the next 2 rooms, similar results. There's not...
Okay. Yes.
Yeah, not anyone dwarvish, but there's 1 or 2 people that try to be helpful. Some of them think that you're meaning the gunnery chief and say that he's pretty much the only dwarf that they've seen on board. You get to the final room and you see that there's a bit of a divide in the room. There's civilians sitting and sort of scrunched up against the walls, but there's also another group sitting in there with a lot more space and seeming a lot more content with their lot, and amongst them is the dwarf.
Oh. Okay. Okay, so I just walk up to them and go, "Hey, you know me?"
The dwarf looks at you and sizes you up from head to toe and... "Yeah, I know of you. Not seen you before, though. Well, not directly."
Yeah, but you look like you recognize me, but you have not.
I might have seen a good representation of you. Had someone ask me to look for you lot.
Look for me? Why?
Let's just say that your boss, he made some enemies that you don't want to make.
I was told he's dead.
It wouldn't surprise me. You get a bounty that big on your head.
Are you a bounty hunter? Did you kill my boss?
Let me get my dice, because
I
he's
mean,
going to blatantly try to
just
lie.
Just to say, my character is completely shouting these allegations with no proof or or anything. Just basically jumping to conclusions based on the context of the conversation.
Radio, let me get a stunt table for this, because this is going to be entertaining.
Yeah. Yeah. His intelligence is not very.
Radio. The dwarf chuckles and goes, "And what if I did?" Because if I was good enough to take him down, I'm good enough to make you walk the heck back out of this room with your tail between your legs. And he stunted for 5 points, and he's using Enrage.
He's using what?
Enrage against you. So he's going to try to provoke you to either attack him or
knew it.
walk out.
And I mean that would be an attack. Yeah. Yeah, I guess my character is probably seeing rage at this point and saying, "Are you looking down on me?"
He doesn't seem threatened in the slightest, purely because it looks like he's got friends in there with him.
I'm saying that and attacking. Sorry. Yes.
Radio, I'll get you to roll your attack.
I'm sure I will screw this up badly. Oh god, yeah. So that's a total of. Wow. 10.
10?
10.
Nah, he dodges clean out of the way.
Hey, stay still. Don't run away.
He doesn't even pull a weapon. He just throws a right hook at you. And does... so from memory, that's accuracy. 13 hit you?
Yes, that just.
Right here. So he is going to do... 6 points of damage.
Oh, so is armor taken off?
Yeah, armor is subtracted from that. So from memory, you said you'd...
Or.
For armor? Yep, you'll only take 2.
Okay. I take. Okay. I hope you can heal easy. Right. And then, do I attack him or?
Yep.
He's attacked me twice. Or?
No, it's just a one-on-one fight at the moment.
Oh, okay. So this is a lot better. No.
That will hit.
Oh. Oh, wow. Mm.
15 damage.
Yeah.
You get a pretty solid hit in him, but this guy looks like he is a reasonable fighter.
Okay. And my character is basically enraged at the.
I'm just going to double check something.
Is that all you got?
Which one was it going to be? That'll do. So, one of the others that was leaning up against the wall watching all this, and unlike the civilians, doesn't seem to be panicking in the slightest. Just holds up a hand in your direction and sends lightning from his fingertips arcing in your direction.
Oh, what the hell? You are a wizard or what? Fucking.
So that is a 14 to hit.
Yeah, it does.
So roll a toughness. So roll a Constitution stamina test.
Constitution.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is not a drink one. I think I'm going to be fine. You roll 3 dice.
Yep.
Yeah, I think I will. Like. So yeah, I think I'm okay.
You will be fine. So
it's like 20 so.
You take 2 points of damage that ignore your armor.
Okay, 2 points. Wow, these guys are really whittling me down.
However, you feel the electricity twitching your muscles, and you're trying really hard to like stop it from just causing endless spasms as you're resisting. You're not stunned, but you're not able to actually take a full action on your next turn.
Oh. Hey, don't bother to when people are talking with their fists.
The dwarf that insulted you is going to take the opportunity to draw a sword and level it at you. And he's going to go, if we really wanted to try, you'd be dead. Go back up on deck with your friends. This ain't your fight.
Okay, look, I just want to know what the fuck happened.
Well, what the fuck happened, in your own words, is your boss crossed the wrong people. And he paid. You don't skip out of town without paying your debts. Consider that a free lesson.
Wait, do I also owe my boss debt?
No. You're lucky we're not like your boss's folk. Your debts are your own, and you don't owe us anything. You've just given us some entertainment for the day.
Yes, but what happens now that I don't have a... Who do I belong to?
You belong to yourself. Do whatever you want.
Whoa, I can't do that.
Well, you came aboard with some others. See if they'll take you along. If you really need someone to follow, I'm certain one of them will take you.
I'm just a bit
What's there to
What
be
was that?
confused about? Your boss owed money and died for it. And since the people of Freeport and, well, what's left of Freeport, and the people of Port Marley don't really condone slavery, you're your own person. Do what you want.
I don't know what I should do. I've never had to do what I wanted.
Find work. And just don't incur the same debts. Especially not to my bosses. That
Wait, do your boss?
I have employers, they make me good money, and I do tasks for them.
You know I'm strong, so if you have work for me, then I guess I can do that.
He's gonna laugh really loud at that. He'll look at the wizard and then look back at you and go, when you get into Port Marley, ask around for the Shattered Hand.
Well, ask around for what?
The Shattered Hand.
Shattered hand. I will try to remember. Shattered hand. Shattered hand.
Just,
Shattered hand.
I'll give you a hand. It's a pub in the poorer district of town.
Oh, I like pub.
Good. You'll like this one.
Oh,
When you find it, tell them that you're looking for work. They'll know what to do.
okay, that's really great. Thank.
He just grins and waves.
So I guess Smug will just like wander back up the deck for those people who goes with him because he doesn't have anywhere else to go. So sad.
In the meantime, Edric, you've been shown the sights and wonders of the armory and have stocked everything up.
I found my new favorite room in this ship. So I got to take like plenty of bullets.
Yep, you topped up your bullets, but he counted how many you were taking just to make sure that you weren't being a little bit too liberal, but you can add an extra 2 or 3.
Nice.
He wasn't exactly counting your shots. And you see him stock up his own.
In that case, I'm gonna sneak in a few more bullets. Like the 2 more bullets, so that I have like slightly more than I had.
Yep.
Can I also like keep close memory of what weapons and such are in the armory?
Yep, so from what you can see, there is a whole bunch of stock muskets. There is a rack that appears to be a place that the chief gunner keeps his own rifle. And there is a bunch of sword racks and as a bunch of boarding axes as well for whenever or if ever the ship needs to get into close quarters combat. Up the far end, you can also see the powder kegs where there is the storage for all the gunpowder.
Okay. I'm gonna pin that for like reference. Because what Edric is gonna do is he's gonna think about ways to improve his gear with the stuff that's here.
You do
not
see that
necessarily steal stuff, but he's going to be making some plans.
you do see that there is like a little bit of a workbench where it seems like the chief gunner himself has been working. His own rifle appears to be kind of like an extended, longer version of a standard musket.
I'm gonna specifically ask him, hey, would it be okay if I ever borrowed some of your tools to improve my gun?
He nods and goes, yeah, as long as you keep any sparks well away from that corner over there, and he gestures in the general
Of course.
direction of the powder kegs.
Of course, don't want to blow us all up. Yet.
Well noted, lad. And much appreciated.
With that, Edric is gonna laugh and just ask, so that elf that you caught me taking a glimpse of, do you know her?
What, the lass up on deck?
Yeah.
Don't know her personally, no.
Has she, so she hasn't been on the ship before? Just in the mayhem of leaving Freeport?
As far as I know, no, she hasn't been on deck, and that, well, whoever the hell she was traveling with, yeah, he's definitely not been on here. I would have known.
He's not on here anymore either.
Good thing that.
I didn't like him threatening our captain. Both of them were arguing with the captain, and then, well, the bigger one got a poke and then threatened the captain, so I handled that for us.
Well, to be honest, if you hadn't, I would have taken the shot.
Well, I'm glad I got the chance then. Always nice showing off a little pistol work.
Well, you're definitely impressed with that. If you stick around here long enough, I'll teach you how to use the big ones. And he gestures at the cannonballs. And then he'll give you a bit of a glance and then go, the lass, the captain was all well and good to get them both on board before she said something. Didn't actually catch it myself, but you might want to talk to the girl.
She said something and then they weren't allowed on board?
No, the captain specifically didn't want that orc aboard.
Until she mentioned something.
Yeah.
I might have to have a chat with her then, because if the captain didn't want her, then why the fuck is she still here?
I don't think she was the problem.
Okay.
After all, what kind of threat is, a slip of a girl like that? But that orc, he practically wanted half the civilians back off the ship, and he wanted us to go back up north.
Up north?
Yeah. Like hell, these civilians need to get to Port Marley.
Yeah, we're not forcing anyone up north yet. And, I mean, I guess it's a moot point now because, well, he certainly won't be thinking anything anymore.
But I hope not.
But I feel, obviously, it's like my responsibility that she got onto the ship without the captain specifically stating it was okay. I'll go have a look.
Well, last I saw, she was up with the captain anyway, so feel free to hunt her down.
Oh, I will. Thanks. Looking forward to learning how to handle those big toys.
He laughs. I'm going to make sure that we get plenty of practice.
Good. Good. I'll be ready. Oh, in the meantime, since I applied to work on the ship. Is there any specific place that my skill set would be useful in?
You lot rest for now while you get a chance, and pretty certain the captain was going to gather up all the new hires on deck and introduce you to your new jobs.
Okay.
We really should have been doing that earlier today, but we had slightly different priorities.
Plans change. With that, I'm gonna take the cask off one more time and like hand us both a drink.
He pulls like two tiny little mugs out from underneath the workbench. Like they appear to have been
Nice.
hung up on hidden hooks under there.
I like your style.
And he just grins and goes, "And I like yours. I like a man that comes prepared." He pours two small mugs of the drink that you've provided and hands you one and clinks his to yours and then downs it immediately.
Scowl. And then I down mine, of course, and hand him the mug back.
Yep, he just...
You hand mug back.
He gives them both a bit of a wipe with a dirty cloth and hangs them back underneath.
Oh.
Nice. So now there's a clean mug dwarf thingy.
A clean mug.
Okay, I like this, but I'm starting to fall asleep now. So.
That's right.
Yeah.
I think it is pretty much time for us to shout bye to the recording, and we will leave it with the image of the Argonaut sailing off across the Dune Sea amongst a flotilla of smaller ships and the occasional bigger one on the way to Port Marley with all the refugees.
Thanks so much, Glenn.
Yeah, thanks a lot.
Yes, thank you
This
very
was
much.
really
Thank
good.
you. It was
I'll just stop the recording.
Oh, sorry.